All right, hey everyone, let's get started here. Today we're talking about CrazyTalk Animator 3, the production pipeline. We're going to be creating a character using the PSD templates. I'm going to be showing you how to do that step by step. We're also going to be updating it and animating it within CrazyTalk Animator and all sorts of other fun stuff. Now we're going to be sending out a survey at the end of this webinar. If you have any suggestions or comments or questions, feel free to fill that survey and we'll give you a $10 gift certificate for the content store. So it's well worth your time. You can pick up any sort of content you want from the content store there. I'm also going to be recording this webinar, so if you have any questions, or if I go too fast for you along the way, don't worry about it. We'll be sending you out a link where you can watch this on your own time, step by step. And I'm just kind of showing the Reillusion page in the background here because I have nothing else to show right now. But because I'm going to be showing you in just a moment where you can download the PSD template. So yeah, that's about it. Q&A session at the end of this webinar for about 10-15 minutes at the end. We'll get to that in about 50 minutes. And if you have any questions, feel free to put them in the questions section in your GoToWebinar panel there. And I'll be more than happy to answer any questions you might have. So again, welcome everyone, wherever you are in the world. I'm going to be presenting to you the PSD character production pipeline here. So let's go right over to PSD, or character creator rather. So in character creator, or in CrazyTalk Animator rather, I'm getting my names mixed up here. We have too many character stuff going on. The character we're going to be creating is this little dude that you see right here, a front-facing character, G3 character. Just be aware that the production pipeline, the PSD production pipeline, is only compatible with G3 characters. Okay, just keep that in mind. I'll be showing you along the way everything that as we go along here. Just give me 1 second. All right, so let's go ahead and get started then. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is we're going to talk about the addition comparisons. So in case you're not aware, in order to accomplish all the stuff I'm going to be showing you in this webinar, you need to have the PSD template. So you need to have the pipeline version of CrazyTalk Animator, which comes along with the PSD template. You can also download the PSD template free as well. Now I'm going to be showing you where you can do that. So once you go to the Reillusion page, if you have the pipeline version, what you want to do is go up to your account here, and you go to My Account, and you can download your, go to registration here, and you might not have this much stuff registered. I have a bunch of stuff registered, but go to your CrazyTalk Animator 3 pipeline here, and there'll be a little link here called Patch Bonus. You just want to click that, and you'll have this CTA pipeline inu.exe. That's the pipeline. That's the the actual app there. The resource pack we're looking for here is the PSD template one down here. So G3 PSD template. You can see released April 13th. And this is the one you want. There's also a white character creation white paper if you want, and some bonus other stuff. So that's one place you can download it. The other way you can download it is go to developer.reillusion.com. Okay, in developer.reillusion.com under resources, you can go to CrazyTalk Animator, and under here you'll find a little bit of an addition comparison, feature comparison rather, between G2 and G3 characters. And down here you'll find the PSD template download. And third place you can download it, in case you wanted to know, you can also go here to this little link up here, go to 2D Media and CrazyTalk Animator. And I believe there's also a PSD pipeline feature window. You can go here, and then there's a download free resource option right here. I think this is the one that if you need a free download, if you don't have the pipeline version, this is the one you need to get. I believe so, so just so you're aware, those are the 3 ways that you can download it. All right, and if you want more like step-by-step, procedure for this entire process here, let's just go to the Reillusion YouTube channel here. In Reillusion YouTube channel, you'll find a number of different playlists, and my good friend Anouk has been good enough to create a number of playlists for basically what we're going to be covering in this webinar today. So I'm going to go over here to playlists. The new YouTube format is kind of messing with me a little bit. I think they changed it a couple weeks ago. But there's the Photoshop pipeline tutorial. These are the ones that I've just done, this CrazyTalk Animator 3 Photoshop pipeline tutorial. So you can click on this, and there's more recent ones that I've done here. I'll just pause that, and you can go down here And the ones that Enoch has done using this very same character are the ones here. You can see these ones at the bottom of the list here. So if you want to kind of get the run through in more detail of everything I'm going to cover here, make sure you check out these tutorials here. Again, under the Reallusion.com or Reallusion playlists, YouTube.com, user Reallusion playlists, and these Photoshop pipeline tutorials. Okay, and one final thing here before we move on to the meat and potatoes of this webinar here is if we go here, I want to show you, what did I want to show again? Just skipped my mind there. Okay, that's weird. Okay, I wanted to show you something else that'll probably come back up to me a little bit later on. But let's go ahead and get with the templates now. So what we're going to do is I'm going to show you how to recreate this character like I mentioned. And right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to explain all the different templates. So when you download that file, the CTA3 pipeline template file, like I mentioned before, you'll find it right here. You'll find a folder called CTA G3 pipeline PSD templates, sample project, or rather not this one, CTA templates. Where is it here? Oh, this one here. Oh, getting confused. Should be this folder. Okay, yeah, you'll find here under this folder structure here, you'll find a folder called templates, and under templates you'll find all these different templates here. So these are ones we're going to be dealing with in this webinar. So the one I'm going to talk about is this. It says HUAM. It's supposed to be human talking head template. If we double click on that, it'll load up Photoshop here. So I don't need my headphones on right now. This will be the talking head template. So if you're just replacing your head, this will be the talking head. We're not going to really be dealing with this template in this webinar, but the one you want to look at is human front full template. Okay, this is the one that we're going to be dealing with. So this is the main one. I'm just going to close that other one there. This is the main one we're going to be dealing with here. So there's a number of different things in this template here that I want to show you, and we'll kind of get into the details of it a little bit later. But let's talk about the basics first. So to go along with this, I'm actually going to load up the other character that comes with it. So front simple template. Let's go to templates here, and let's go to PSD image resources. You'll also have this folder here. Okay, and under human, we will have the elastic folks front right here. Okay, so here's your elastic folks character that you may be used to from CTA3. And this is basically how you want to assemble your character before you bring it into the template here. So take a look on the right-hand side here. Now we basically have one layer for each part of the character's body. So there's the right arm, for example. Let's just move the right arm around. So there's the right arm, for example. There's the hip, which is the midsection, the torso of your character right here. There's the foot. Let's just auto-select. We can just auto-select stuff. There we go. There's the thigh there, the right thigh, left thigh. There's the feet. And basically you want to have all these things in separate layers, and then you want to have a folder. You don't have to do it this way, but this is kind of the way I recommend doing it. And under right hand, you'll have all your right hand sprites here. Relaxed, victory, 7. Okay, all these different sprites here. We'll make all of them invisible right now. And same thing under the left hand, and then under the face. The face we'll talk about a little bit later, but let's, because that's kind of a little bit too much to get into at this point. But I just want to focus right now on the body sprites, because these are the sprites that we're going to be bringing into our template file right here, this PSD template file. Now, you'll see there's a number of different bones. These little doodads here with the crosses on them, we call those bones, okay? And you'll need to place those at various points in your character's body later on. Okay, let's go ahead and load up our other template here. Just give me one sec. Or what we'll be loading in is the character. Okay, so we're going to go to our character here. Where is that folder? Okay. All right, so this PSD files, this is where I have my personal files. I kind of got confused earlier there. Okay, so PSD files, under tutorial PSD files. This character right here is the one we're going to be dealing with. So we have a boy with 10 layers. So you'll notice that this character and the layout is very similar to the elastic folks layout right here. So all in separate layers. We have 10 separate layers right here for the boy, and the same thing for the elastic flow. So we'll just close this one down right now. We don't need to save it. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring all these sprites from my boy character into my this character or this template right here. Now let's take a look at this template before we do this. So there's 4 different groups here. Now the top group here is RL bone label. If I make that invisible, you can see what that is, the labels. We don't really need the labels, so I'm just going to go ahead and make those all invisible. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit in case you can't see them. Okay, like L arm, L forearm, R forearm. Let's make them all invisible because we don't really need them. Okay, and the RL bone human, these are all the bones on your character's body right here. Okay, so that group there is the bones on your character's body, and we'll talk more about that later on. This group here is RL talking head, and this is the stuff on your character's face. So if we make that invisible, all the bones on the face will be invisible there, and we'll deal with that a little bit later on. I'll talk about how to get all your facial features on there. And RL image is where all your sprites are. In this case, we only have one single sprite, and I'll show you where that is in just a moment. Okay, so just so you're aware, this is where everything is. Under talking head, RL talking head, this is where all your images for the head will be. Okay, so under RL head, we have more groups. We have head bone and head image. We'll talk about that a little bit later on. Like I said, we're just going to focus on the body right now, and we'll deal with the face a little bit later because it gets a bit more complicated. So let's just go under RL image and let's find out where this kind of white mannequin character is. Okay, so if we go under hip, the hip folder right here, you can see we have this one image here, hip. Okay, that's our entire image. So basically this template is just one single image in the hip group. All right, so what we want to do is we want to bring all those layers from our PSD file over here. We want to bring them all into this template. So I'm going to go ahead and do that just simply by, let's make sure we go into our original template here. Let's click out of everything so we're not in any of the groups. Okay, make sure we do that. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to go ahead and shift select, so click and shift select every part of my character's body. I guess I should kind of show you first the different parts of the body here. So there's the arm, again, there's the right arm. I'm just Control-Zing, by the way, to restore everything back to its original position. It's a really simple command. Okay, so everything, basically the head is all on one layer right now since we're not going to talk about the facial sprites right now. So let's go ahead and again shift select. Now this 0 is just the background, so we don't need that. I'm going to shift select everything in my group. Let's actually just make it a separate window here. Let's bring our windows down just like this, so we have them side by side. It's much easier. Okay, so over here we have everything selected. Let's click and drag it into our template window, just like this. Boom. All right, so bye-bye, we don't need this guy anymore. We have all the data from this guy already into this template file right here. So let's go ahead and close that down. We don't need to save it. And I'm just going to go ahead and position it. Now what you want to do is you want to position the hips. So you want to kind of get everything aligned with the hips. Don't worry about how long the arms and the legs are. Just position everything on the hips just like this. Okay. Let's place it right about there. That should be good. Okay, good. So we have our dude in the position. So what we want to do now is, next step is we need to take all of these layers and click and drag them into their respective group folder right here. Okay, so let's start with the hip. Okay, so I'm going to take the hip and click and drag the hip layer into the hip group, the hip folder there. Okay, and then if I open that up there, you can see we can make that hip invisible. We can make this hip invisible. Right? In fact, we don't need 2 hips, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete this white mannequin hip there, and boom, everything's done. Now we still have the bones on the character's body, which is exactly the way we want it. We want to keep all the bones and everything there. We'll talk about the bones in just a moment. But the next step, again, is just to kind of click and drag all these images into the corresponding folder. So let's just go ahead and do that real quick. It doesn't really matter what order you do it in. You take the head into the head folder, the right foot into the right foot folder, right thigh into the right thigh folder, left foot into the left foot folder, left thigh into the left thigh folder, left hand. As you can see, it's really fun to do this stuff. Left hand into the left hand folder, and left arm into the left arm folder, A little bit repetitive, but necessary. Right hand into the right hand folder. Let's hope I got all this right. Right arm into the right arm folder. Shazam. All right, everything's all set up. So if we open up these folders, we have everything in the correct folders. You can just double check that if you want. I think I'm pretty good. Had a steady hand there. So let's go ahead and align all the bones then, because CrazyTalk Animator uses these little bone layers to determine, which parts of your character, which part of your image the bones will apply to in CrazyTalk Animator. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. Under RL Bone Human, we have the RL bones for everything. Let's just twirl that up. Let's keep things simple. So the bone labels, we don't really need to worry about that. Let's just make the talking head bones invisible there as well. Okay, just to focus on the body. So we can actually make the labels visible as well. It doesn't really matter. Okay, so let's go to the RL Bone Human right here. Now what you want to do, I'm actually going to make the hips invisible right now, just because I want to focus on the arms and the legs first. So let's go ahead and make the hips invisible. Twirl that up. And under L arm, let's start with the left arm here, and I'll zoom in so you guys can see. It's a little bit far away. Yeah. Okay. Anyways, so left forearm, it won't let me pan to the side here. Maybe I'll have to do this. There we go. Okay. Make it a little bit larger. Okay, left arm. So on the top here, we have this L arm. This is just a bone marker, all right? So we can click and drag that around. You can see the label, the name will come with it. So we'll just take that left arm, put it kind of, basically when you're creating your character, you want to create it with limbs that are rounded out, okay? So you want to have the top of the arm, the top of the leg, the bottom of the arm and everything. You want them to all be rounded out. And the reason for that is when you rotate it in CrazyTalk Animator, so it gets a nice rotation sample. You don't have any like jagged edges sticking out or anything like that. Excuse me, tea break. All right, so what you want to do is you want to put that L arm bone right in the middle there, okay? Kind of just imagine there's a circle at the top of the arm. Put that L arm right in the middle there. And then the left forearm is the same thing. This kind of goes at the elbow. So where you think the elbow would be, you want to put it like right there. I think that would be like a perfect example right in the middle there of the circular elbow area there. And then there's left hand. So left hand, you want to put this at the wrist area, right in the middle of the rounded area for the wrist. Okay, and then there's a left hand nub. And what you do is just place this at the end of your fingers, just like that. Okay, doesn't have much of an effect on anything. So left arm all done, all right? So hopefully we can go a little bit faster with the next couple sections here. So let's move on to the right arm then. So in right arm, we'll move that right arm right there, the forearm right about here again, the right hand at the wrist joint, and the right hand nub at that point right there. Now ideally it's best if they're aligned like in a straight line, if you can draw a straight line between them, but it's fairly forgivable. So I mean, if you don't have an exact straight line, you don't have to be OCD about it. Don't worry about it. I found in most examples, it doesn't really matter. All right, so let's do the legs now before we move on to the thighs. So let's go down to the legs here. So you can see that the template character is a lot taller than our current character on the screen, and it doesn't really present any sort of problems. All we need to do is let's start with the right thigh here. So let's go into right thigh. Let's start from the thigh area. So basically, this thigh, you want to place it kind of right in the middle. Again, imagine there's a big circle at the top of your thigh right there, and just place that marker in the middle. And the shank goes at the knee, all right? You can probably see a pattern here with the legs and the arms. And the right foot, now the foot's kind of tricky. You can see there's a foot, foot two, toe, and toe nub. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to shift select all of these. I'm going to bring them up just like this. Now the reason that there's a foot and a foot two is for characters like birds or T-Rex, Triceratops. I'm not sure, not Triceratops, T-Rexes or stuff like that. You know what, those kind of weird bird feet. I don't know the scientific name for them, but basically the foot one, our foot, you put that at the ankle, the first ankle, and then our foot goes at the our foot two goes at the second ankle, and our foot one goes at the first ankle. So you kind of go with something like this. If this guy had some kind of like weird chicken leg or something, you'd put this R foot 2 up there, and yeah, you're pretty much good to go. Just remember the R foot is the one that's supposed to be higher. I'm not sure what I did there. Okay, anyways. So you can basically put these in the same place on your character's ankle. Okay, so R foot and R foot 2. Just move them up a little bit on the ankle there. And then R toe. Just imagine again that the toe is kind of like a circle, but more like an oval, like a horizontal oval. And just place the R toe and the toe nub on opposite ends of that oval. Okay, just like this. All right, you can move the nub a little bit further out, just like this if you want. Okay, and so all the toes would be kind of like tucked in over there. All right, easy enough for the toes there and the thighs. Let's move on to the left thigh here. And I'm just going to go ahead and move over a little bit here. Left thigh, we'll move this left thigh up just like this. And left shank, move the left shank up just like this. There we go. And trying to align it left and right as well, if you can, if possible. Like Photoshop, the new versions of Photoshop will give you those alignment, little pink grid marks there. You can find out when it's exactly aligned, okay? And I'm going to take up the left foot there as well. There we go. All right, let's take that nub out a little bit. All right, I think we're good. Again, I'm not going to be too picky. There we go. Okay, so all of the limbs are good for alignment. Now, one final thing you want to do is this little thing on the bottom here. This is kind of like your pivot point for your character. So what you want to do is that's found under hip, I believe. Yeah, object pivot right here. This little pivot, red and blue crosshairs here, you want to bring that up. So just click and you can hold shift to bring it up. Hold shift to bring it up directly like this. When you're clicking and dragging, hold shift and it'll go up right in the middle there, okay? And just place it at the bottom of your character's feet and you're good to go. So the other thing I want to do here is let's move all this stuff up here and let's make our hip invisible again, or torso, I guess you should say. There we go. All right, so the torso and the head are the next steps we want to take. So the hip, where are we here? Let's make that, oh, we're in the bones. Yeah, okay, so we want to go to the bones here. And in the bones, we have the hip, okay, the hip bone right here. So this hip bone, you want to place that right in the middle. Again, imagine your character's hip is a big kind of oval, again, horizontal oval, just like this. Place it right in the middle, okay? And the torso, you want to place right where the belly button would be, something like that, okay, right over his middle button there. And the neck, you want to place that at the base of the neck, so where the neck kind of connects to the torso. Again, right here would be just fine, I think, for this character. And the head, you want to place the head, surprisingly, behind the head, where the head actually connects to the neck. So if the head connects to the neck somewhere in the back here, it would kind of be a little bit above the chin, probably somewhere like that, okay, and just place it right there. And then the head, good old head nub, you want to place the head nub where you think the top of the head would be. The hair doesn't really matter, just kind of follow like a circular pattern of his forehead or something like that. And there we go, it's kind of just like a rounded out head like that. Okay, so believe it or not, we are finished with the body stuff. So all you need to do now is just go ahead and save it out. I'm just going to save my character to my desktop. And let's just call it basic dude, okay? Save it to our desktop, okay. As a PSD file, obviously. All right, and then what you want to do is you want to go into CrazyTalk. Let's just create a new project here. And you need to go over here to create G3 Freebone Actor. And let's find that same file that we just opened up there, basic dude rather. There we go. Another tutorial, I did the basic one. All right, so here we have our character. It'll automatically load you into composer mode. Okay, so we're not in stage mode. Keep that in mind, you're in composer mode. And you can go to preview and preview your characters. Click on any sort of bone here. And there we go. We have a fully animatable character. You can have him like wiping sweat off his head, or moving around. Take the hip and kind of just move that around as well. The torso, we'll move the entire thing. Just keep that in mind, okay? And then you can do stuff like the head and move the head around, or rotate it and stuff. All right, so then what we can do is we can go back into stage mode. For some reason that automatically took me into stage mode. Okay. Anyways, composer mode is up here again with your character selected. Once everything's finished, you can go back into stage mode like this, and then you can animate your character using any sort of the motion tools in CrazyTalk Animator rather. Go to the content manager here under animation, under perform, go to G3. There's stuff like the cat meow, obviously not for human characters, but the human characters, you can do stuff like thinking here. Okay, and actually I can go ahead and turn the volume up here. I have my headphones plugged in. All right, there you go. Okay, so there's one perform motion.
Let's party!
All right, so everything's cool, but we just don't have the, again, and these are side facing animations. Generally what you want to do is, you can see on the thumbnail over here, there's an F for front facing and S for side facing. So this guy would be ideal. Okay, the stupid stuff like that. So we have all the body animation and everything taken care of. However, we don't have the facial animation. So that's the next step here. Let's go over here to the 2D motion key editor as well, just to kind of show you how you can move the body of your character, just like in preview mode. Again, just take your character like this. You can rotate them and bring up the legs like this. Okay, everything works with human IK, and this is how you can animate with keyframes and stuff. So just taking your character and moving him along like this. All right, and one thing you may notice as well is that on your character, the forearms here are kind of in front of the hands. Now there's two ways you can fix that. You can actually fix it in Photoshop, or you can just go back into composer mode here. And in composer mode, just go over here to your layer manager. I'm going to get rid of these bones here. Just click off show bones. And in the layer manager, you'll be able to see all your different layers here. Let's throw up the talking head. So just make sure that your hand layers are on top of your arm layers. So just basically click and drag them. You'll see a big red line up here. Just click and drag your hand layers on top of your arm layers, and shazam, we have those little edges there that are gone. All right, so that's all fine and good. Let's go back to stage mode here. All right, just give me one sec. All right, and also I wanted to mention as well that in composer mode, in case you weren't aware, each layer corresponds to a sprite. Okay, so if you go over here to the sprite editor, you can also do this in stage mode, but you can see that each layer in Photoshop corresponds to a sprite in CrazyTalk Animator. And you can do sprite editing as well, and I'll show you a bit more about that later on. Let's go ahead and go back to stage mode here, and so you can see our dude in his cool pose here. Okay, so let's move on to the head stuff then. So we're done with this basically. We're done with basic dude. We don't need to save him. Let's go ahead. I have some projects pre-prepared because the head stuff can be a bit monotonous. You see, I did the body in a couple minutes, but the head can also be done in a few minutes. But who has the time? Let's go ahead and I'll explain. I'll kind of deconstruct it for you guys. So let's load up this PSD Actor 4 first. Okay, so you might see a lot of familiar folders here in the PSD Actor 4. Let's just make the bone labels invisible. Let's make the bones invisible. And let's focus on the head here. So zoom in. So basically all I have for the head here is if we go into RL Talking Head. Again, RL Image group is for the body. RL Talking Head is for the head. So you'll have under Head Image, under Face, I just have this head right here, okay, and the face. So the face has all the eyes and everything on it, okay? This one right here has all the eyes and everything on it. The head just basically has your head template, okay? So or not head template, rather, just a head layer. And what you want to do then is the same thing we did with the body for CrazyTalk Animator. Remember, we clicked and dragged all those images into the respective folders here. Well, basically, you just do the same thing. You click and drag the images into like the right brow, into the left brow, into the left eye, right eye, and so on and so forth, into those folders. So we click and drag, click to drag the head folder, or head layer rather, into the face group folder here. And that's where that one's supposed to go. All right, let's load up have a selection of images here, high resolution head images here. Okay, so here's an example of what you want to do for your basic G3 character. So there's a number of different expressions that you can have on your face. There should be another file in your template folder here. Is it image resources here? Yes, I believe this one right here. Okay, yes. So high-res talking head.psd. Okay. So again, if you want to find that folder structure, it's under, click here. It's under the folder 02 PSD image resources and then 01 human, and then you'll find the high-res talking head. And this is just kind of a reference for all the different facial sprites that you'll want for a fully functional facial character. Okay. So you'll see over here on the right, we have all these separate folders, okay, for brow, left brow, right brow. You can see those, left brow, right brow. Fairly simple, okay? So basically all you need to do is just draw all of these on a single PSD file. And then you can go ahead and import them in one by one or as a group if you want into your PSD file on your character. So let's go ahead and do that. Very similar to the way we did with the body. I think this is a high resolution head, so it's going to be the size is going to be a little bit different. Again, I did the same kind of size. Let's go ahead and give this a shot anyways. So what I can do is, and this is the project that we created earlier on, so you'll see all the mouths, okay, under mouth, you'll have all the ones here. So all I need to do is, again, just shift select all those mouths, and let's click and drag this. So we can get two windows in the same view here. There we go. Okay, so what I want to do is in this project here, make sure that I'm not in any folder. Okay, so just click off of it and go over here and click and drag all your mouths into this project over here. Okay, and they'll import in like this, and yeah, they're high resolution, so the size is a little bit larger. I think I have a file where they're all smaller. If they're too large, you can just press Control T and transform the size, but I don't want to do that right now. Let's go ahead and actually we can just try that really quick. I think we can do it all at once. If we can do it all at once, I'll just use these. Looks like we can. Okay, so let's just try and resize all these to the size they should be for the character's mouth. Okay, let's guesstimate it, estimate it. I'm gonna use Control T. All right, we'll estimate his mouth is about that size. All right, I'm gonna work with mouth this size. Okay, let's press Enter. And again, all these are selected in this project now. We can align them to the top, align them to the left, and just move them to the mouth. And I think maybe we need to center them all again. Yeah. Okay, so you can use these align tools at the top to kind of align all your layers and just kind of place them where the mouth is. Okay, place them where the mouth bone is there. All right. So now if we did this and we exported this character, we'd have a character with a bunch of different mouth sprites, okay? So again, but what we need to do first is we need to put all these into the respective folders. So you need to go over here to under RL Talking Head. Oops, where are we here? Head image, there we go. Okay, and under the mouth, we'll have all these folders here. So it is a bit monotonous, but what you want to do is, click and drag the normal into the normal, smile open into the smile open there. Oops. Pucker lip into the pucker lip. Open lip into the open lip folder. Show teeth into the show teeth folder there. And the mouth open to the mouth open. Normal into the normal. And then there's the phoneme shapes, so the E, O, E, U, W, and Th, and consonants there. So these are used for lip syncing on your character, okay? So E is used for lip syncing. The O, the E, the U, and the W. And I think I have one more. Oh no, three more, okay. So again, clicking and dragging. Hopefully this isn't too boring for you guys, clicking and dragging, but I just kind of wanted to show you the entire group, so then you can see the entire thing in CrazyTalk Animator in just a moment here. What you want to do is make all these invisible except for the normal mouth. Okay, so smile open, just make it invisible. Pucker lip, invisible. Open lip, invisible. And we'll be done with this in 2 shakes of a lamb's tail. Probably could have just done one example, but it's fun clicking on all these repetitive options here, repetitive folders. Okay, anyways, we'll just work with that. And it's the same procedure for the eyes and the eyebrows and everything. I'm not going to show that to you guys. Okay, I'm just kind of showing you this quick example here. Okay, so here's PSD Actor 4, or rather PSD Actor 4.psd. He has all his mouths all set up. Okay, so what we want to do is just go ahead and file, save as, and we'll call him desktop. We'll just call him mouth guy. Mouth guy. Okay. And then over in CrazyTalk Animator, we're going to create this dude without eyes. It's going to be kind of creepy, but there we go. Okay, so create freebone actor and mouth guy. We'll place him right beside his friend basic dude. All right, and it'll load him into CTA or into composer mode rather. And let's take a look at the mouths that we created. All right, so click on the mouth there and go here to the sprite editor, and bam, we have all these mouths that we can swap out for the different sprites. Okay, and if you want, you can resize all these as well. Modify the sprite size and everything. Excuse me. Oops. Okay, yeah. If you resize the bone, I believe, the blue bone, so if there's a blue selection box, if you're out of the sprite editor and there's a blue selection box, you can resize that, and I believe it was like this in the previous version, yeah. So then all the sprites will be resized, okay? So if there's a green selection box, you can resize them one by one, just like this, okay? So mouth open will be small, but the normal one will still be big, okay? So these ones will all still be big, and then the mouth open one will be small, okay? So if there's a green selection box, and you resize them, it's only going to do that one sprite. Whereas if you do the entire option here, if it's in a blue selection box, which is the bone resize mode, then you can make them all smaller like this. Okay, so let's give them like a pretty small mouth right there. Okay, and back to stage mode. All right, so he's like peering from behind his brother over there. Okay, so here is this dude here, and we can test him out. Using the sprite editor, or we can use even the facial puppet tool. Let's just use a random profile here, like, oops. What's happening here? Oh, there we go. Okay, so you can see with the normal face control, nothing much, okay? But we have the rotation and the movement of the mouth. We can stretch it and squash it like that. Okay, and this one here is a happy one, I believe, or angry. I always forget which ones they are. And you can see it'll swap out that sprite, okay? Okay, and this one here is a smiley one. All right, so there you go. Okay, so that's everything, and basically, like I said, it's the same procedure for the mouth, the nose, and the eyes, and everything like that. The only tricky one, I think, is the. Let's go back to Photoshop here, and I'm going to load in a new project here. Which file is it? Which file? Oh, I have it in my Explorer. Already open. Okay. So, back here to my PSD files. Okay, my tutorial files. All right, so PSD Actor 6 is one that I have. It's already prepared. And here you go. Okay, let's close down all this stuff for now. Just kind of get rid of all this nonsense. We don't need that. So this is PSD Actor 6, right? Yeah, okay. So let's take a look at his face. Under RL Talking Head, we have all these head images right here. Okay, so you can see the right brow. We have the right brow image right there. Okay, and the left brow, we have the right eye, left eye. So I guess the mouth is probably the hardest one. I don't know why I chose the hardest one to show you guys, but because it has the most sprites. But things like the right eye, for example, they'll be like normal, smile close, eye close. So there'll only be 6 of them, 6 sprites for the eyes. Okay, the mouth I think is like something like 13. All right, so I kind of took the long route, but anyways, you guys got to see me click around for a while. So the right eye here, there's normal, there's smile close. If we make that visible, okay, so you can see I put all these sprites into their respective folders. Now this eye close one, I'm going to show you this in just a moment here, all right, because I'm going to show you how to update. There's a new feature you can update in Photoshop. Okay, so let's kind of leave the normal one on here. So basically, yeah, this character has all the noses and all the faces, facial features and everything in the right place. He's no longer eyeless, okay? So what we can do is let's go ahead and we don't need to actually save it out again. We can just load it in directly into CrazyTalk. Let's delete his eyeless friend here, and let's go to create. Oh man, where's that folder? Bear with me for just a moment. We'll go into the depths of my production folders here. Okay, that didn't take too long. All right, good. So PSD Actor 6. You may recall this one from the folder I was just in. Okay, anyways, here he is. All right, brand spanking new, this guy. And he has all the facial animation features as well. So if we select the eye, for example, we go into the sprite editor. You can see the smile, close, eye close, everything like that. However, if we go over here, we can see the normal right here, smile close, eye squint, scared close and everything. And then this eye close is a big red blob there. And I kind of purposely did this because I want to show you how to update it. So let's go back to the normal eye there. And let's go ahead and with this character selected, what I'm going to do is in Photoshop, now we can actually just close down this one. Okay. And let's actually go into CrazyTalk Animator. And there's an option here to launch to external PSD editor. So if you ever have some kind of small issue with these characters that you want to fix in Photoshop or something, all you need to do is go over here with your character selected and go to launch to external PSD editor. And now I generally have a fairly large image scale, like maybe 2.5 or something like that. You can choose whatever you want. It'll just adjust the PSD resolution below, but you want to have at least something around the 2000 or 2K to 3K range. Otherwise, if you zoom in too much on your character, it'll look distorted. We can talk about that later if you have any questions. But I'm just going to go ahead and launch this. So this is going to launch a brand new. It's going to create a brand new PSD file and launch it in Photoshop. And you may recognize all these folders and all the fun stuff right here. Oops. Let's make sure we just make the bones invisible. All right. So same folder, same everything. But we need to find that right eye that was causing us problems before. Okay, so let's go ahead under RL Talking Head Images, because it's the image that's causing us trouble. And I believe it was the right eye. And it happened when we closed the eye. I think it was eye close. Okay, so under eye close, there's 3 separate groups here. You can see 3 separate folders. The iris, make that visible. Let's actually just make the normal eye invisible right now. Okay, we'll restore that a little bit later on. The iris, okay, so the iris is fine. We go into the eye white folder. The eye white. So this little thing here, this is just kind of a mask to determine like how far the eye can go. You don't need to worry about this because it's already predefined in the template. But say for example I have this and it's like, oh whoops, I accidentally threw some red ink in there or something like that. All I need to do is just go ahead and erase it. Okay, so I'm going to use my eraser tool over here and just kind of whoops. Let's actually not use erase. Let's use the brush tool here, and I'm going to hold Alt and click on my character's face. Okay, because that will kind of give me the same color in my color swatch there. And hold Alt and then just brush it over like this. It can be as sloppy as you want because it's all in one single layer. All right, and then just make it invisible. Okay, and make all these other things invisible, and then go back to normal. Make normal visible. All right, so the cool thing about this is it's actually linked in. It's actually connected right now for live update with CrazyTalk Animator. So if we go to File and we go to Save, it's going to update that in CrazyTalk Animator. So let's go over to CTA here. It'll take a minute to load up. There you go. And let's take a look at our character's eye now. If we go to the eye sprite, eye close, looks just fine. All right, actually has a little pink area around it. I guess we should have probably erased that. You can see it on the sprite, there's a little pink area around it. Let's actually try and erase it. I always forget which one it is. All right, back to the eye close, eye white. So everybody, let's just erase you then. Use the erase tool, and it'll just be white in the background then. I believe this is what you do. Okay, there you go. And again, this file saved, update it. And in CTA, whoops, where are we here? Okay, there we go. Oh, I guess you do want the pink background. Apologies everyone. So you do want the pink background there, okay. Again, let's just use our brush tool. All right, I'm not sure if that's, something's a bit off there, but anyways, we'll use that temporary solution for now. Okay, we'll just leave it like that. And we should be good to go. All right, so back in CrazyTalk Animator, there we go. Okay, and one other thing I wanted to mention here as well is you see that our character's mouth there is kind of on top of the nose. Again, that's a simple layer issue. You can just go over to Layer Manager here and take the mouth and bring it below the nose. Because generally people's mouths aren't in front of their noses unless you have a really protruding mouth. All right, so just kind of keep it like that. And good, back into stage mode. Now it'll come up with a notification, leaving composer mode will unsync external PSD files. So once you leave composer mode, you're no longer going to be able to update and save an update in CrazyTalk Animator. You'll have to reload the PSD, relaunch it into Photoshop. Okay, so keep that in mind. So we go along here. All right, so finished guy right here. This guy looks so serious doing his cool dance move. All right, so again, all the animation tools are available here. Let's do a quick facial animation here, just to kind of show you. So the create script option here will be your starting point to create any sort of lip sync or anything like that. You can record your own voice, use text-to-speech or a WAV file, or also a CrazyTalk script from CT8 or previous versions of CTA. I'm just going to go ahead and use text-to-speech here. I'll give him a robot boy voice, David. All right, I'll say, hey, everyone, I'm Robot Boy. Welcome to CTA, or CrazyTalk Animator. Okay, let's go ahead and press OK.
Hey everyone, I'm Robot Boy. Welcome to CrazyTalk Animator.
All right, so that's your basic animation for the lips. That's automatic lip syncing again, so it's kind of swapping out with those lip sprites that I showed you earlier, those lip layers like the pho and the muh and the woo and all that stuff. So you can find all those by going into by pressing F3 to go into your character's timeline. And in the face section here, under let's hold Alt and scroll our mouse button down to zoom out of our timeline. And under voice clip here, you'll find this clip, and you'll find all these little keyframes underneath the clip, okay? So if I hold Alt and scroll my mouse button up, I can zoom into my timeline, and you can see stuff like the woo right here, okay? And the IH and the t, okay? These keyframes are automatically generated for automatic lip sync. So if I double click on any of the keyframes, I can change them. And I can move them around, I can cut, copy, and paste just like you would any other regular keyframe. I'm not going to worry too much about that in this case because I want to layer some facial animation on top of that before we end off this webinar. Okay, this just takes a couple minutes, so I'll show you how to do it real quick here. So let's go over here, let's do some, we can do facial puppet. Okay, so I showed you earlier facial puppet. This is one option for you. You can choose a facial animation profile like this dude right here, Elastic Folks Male, and there's like a smiley one. You can use QWERTY, your QWERTY, to toggle between these. ERTY, okay. And so let's just use a smiley one. You can preview it. Okay, for these type of characters, sprite-based characters, the face puppet works fairly well, but you don't want to go to any extremes because you can go to extremes like this, and you see the eyebrows cutting into the actual eyes themselves. Okay, so you want to use these for more subtle animations like this. Okay, or let's use this excited one. Okay, so if I go ahead and press record, by the way, I was pressing space to preview that. You can press record and then press space.
Hey everyone, I'm Robot Boy. Welcome to CrazyTalk Animator.
Okay, now don't worry about his mouth shape because if I go ahead and play back, basically what it's doing is it's just going to kind of stretch the keyframes of the lip sync into that kind of happier expression. So what that did is, like, you'll see now the woo right here, for example, will be more like that's not a good example, the IH maybe will be more like a stretched out IH. Okay, so before it was kind of like more like now it's like a Okay, anyways, you can kind of tell the difference in people's voices when they're talking, if they're smiling or not, and so that's kind of an example of that. Let's go ahead and play that back.
Hey everyone, I'm Robot Boy. Welcome to CrazyTalk Animator.
All right, so what that did is that created a clip in the facial clip section, okay? So you can see puppet clip right here. Now, if you want to remove that, you can just go ahead and select it and delete it. Everything will go back to normal, okay? Let's actually restore that, Control-Z to restore that, and I'll show you the difference with the IH I was talking about. So here's the IH, okay, right now. And if I delete the clip, there you go. It kind of goes back to something like this, so a bit more subdued there. Okay, anyways, let's do one final example here, and this is showing how to blend in facial key editor stuff. This is one thing that I like to do because you can kind of easily blend between two expressions. So go to the facial key, and I use these templates all the time. So there's like neutral, happy, happy 2, happy 6. Okay, so they'll be different for every character. Okay, so you can use this happy one like this, and what it'll do is under facial clip, it'll create a keyframe in your face track right there.
Hey everyone, I'm Robot Boy.
Okay, and then say here, for example, you want it to kind of blend into a different expression like happy 2. Okay, so what it'll do is it'll create a new clip in the facial clip, and you'll see 2 keyframes appear in the face track, just like this. Okay.
Hey everyone, I'm Robot Boy.
You can see it slowly blends from one to the other. Okay, you probably don't want to blend it that slowly. And if you don't want it to blend that slowly, you can go ahead and click and drag this face keyframe over here and just do something like this. So it'll blend a lot faster.
Hey everyone, I'm Robot Boy.
And then you can take this keyframe, Control-C, copy it, Control-V over here, and then from there to there, we'll go like happy 5. Okay, so then from here to here, it'll just go like this. So
hey everyone, I'm Robot Boy. Welcome to CrazyTalk Animator.
And then maybe I'll also want to emphasize this. I want to bring his eyebrows further up at this point. So then I can actually go to morph, and I can take both eyebrows and just kind of click and drag and bring those even further up just like this. Okay, that's one way you can do it. I'm just going to Control-Z that. Another way you can do is transform. You can actually take the position of the eyebrows up higher manually. Okay, maybe something like that. And then we get something like this. Okay, so from the beginning until that point, it'll have a transform. And if you don't want that, then you can just go ahead and Control-Z that twice. And there's also deform, so you can deform the shape of the eyebrows. All sorts of other stuff we can get into in other tutorials or webinars. If you have any questions, again, I can refer you to any sort of webinar. But then let's go ahead and change this one back to a neutral expression. Let's just use transform here. And if you press reset all, it's going to add a keyframe there for your facial transform. Okay, and it's not under transform there, just so you're aware. And then maybe here, move it up a little bit, and then over here, just reset all, and it'll go back to normal. So then from here to here, I'll have an eyebrow raise. Okay, so from there to there, there's a quick little eyebrow raise. So just keep that in mind. You can modify, use these face key editors just for all sorts of different types of keyframe animation for the face. And then finally, there's also sprite animation. So I'm actually going to delete this entire clip, and we're going to start from scratch here. So Sprite animation is one final example that I want to show you here. You can access that by going into Sprite Editor right here. So Sprite Editor will basically overrule any of the other animations that you have. So regardless of whether or not you have facial puppet editing or whether you have facial key editing, any of those tools, the sprite switching will always overrule it, okay? So just keep that in mind. If you're gonna layer different tools on top of each other, save the sprite switching until the very end, because the sprite switching will be the last kind of overall most powerful kind of animation tool, I guess you can say, okay? So let's just use like sprite switching, go to smile, close for the eyes here, okay? And then for eyebrows, there's nothing for the eyebrows there. The transform movement is for the eyebrows. So there's only one eyebrow sprite. So here you'll see under RIS, that stands for sprite right here. There's a sprite switching keyframe right there. And then we can change the eyes back to like normal right here. So then from here to here, it'll be closed.
I'm Robot Boy. Welcome.
So maybe here we can have him kind of smiling closed again, like that.
Welcome to CrazyTalk.
And back to normal for this one. Normal right there.
Welcome to CrazyTalk Animator.
And we still maintain that transform keyframe there as well. Okay, and then what I like to do is with the sprite editing, you can just layer on some head movement with the facial puppet tool. So you can just go ahead over here and press this erase or clear selection tool. And then just only select the 3D movement for the head. And you can only move the head just like this by itself, okay? So this is one thing I like to do to kind of exaggerate, make it seem more like a 3D type head. So let's go ahead and record that.
Hey everyone, I'm Robot Boy. Welcome to CrazyTalk Animator.
Okay, so I just gave him a kind of a nod at the end there. And so you don't have to worry about all these little keyframes right here, okay? Because again, that's just generated automatically. So we go over here.
Hey everyone, I'm Robot Boy. Welcome to CrazyTalk Animator.
Okay, so just a brief example of trying to simulate that 3D feel on a 2D head. Yeah, and I think that's really all I wanted to show you there. There's other animation tools for the body and stuff like that, but I just kind of want to focus on the face, since it's kind of cool how you can really bring your own PSD in with fully and use all these motion tools, these facial motion tools on your character separately. For the face, there's different powerful motion tools that you can use in CrazyTalk Animator. All right, anyways, I think that's about it. So let's go to the Q&A session. We're a little bit over time, so I'm going to go to the questions now. So if you have any questions, feel free to put those in the good old questions section of the GoToWebinar panel there. And again, keep in mind that we're going to be sending out recordings of this. We're going to be sending out a link to you guys, a YouTube link where you can watch this and kind of pause it, go through it at your own pace if you want. All right, so let's go into the questions now. Let me open up the questions panel. We already got a few questions, it looks like. All right, yeah, so a few people luckily made it. Rick is one of them from the hurricane, Hurricane Irma. So I had a few developers that I talk to regularly were affected by the hurricane. So I'm glad to know that everyone got out okay. Seems like most people were on most people that I know at least were on the west coast of Florida. So it was pretty serious when it first hit. So good to know everyone's okay. All right. So happy to know you're okay there, Rick. Robert asks, we can create our layered puppet in any software and then output to PSD format, correct? Yes, that's correct. So it's not only Photoshop. I showed you the pipeline using Photoshop. You can use other stuff. Oh gosh, like GIMP is the free one that a lot of people use. GIMP is actually not that bad. I think it's free. You save yourself $10 a month. I just pay $10 a month for Photoshop, and you get all kinds of other bonus stuff with it. But GIMP is free again. Has pretty much all the capabilities that Photoshop has. Okay, so yeah, any software that outputs PSD, it's fine. Another good question from Robert. I was not sure how you switched from the blue box to the green blocks with the mouth sprites. Okay, so that's a good question. It's kind of easy to miss that. Let's go back to CrazyTalk here. So in composer mode. So like I showed earlier, when you want to switch from sprite editing mode to bone edit mode. So if I select my character's mouth right now, it's going to have a blue selection box. And in the scene manager, you'll see it'll select the mouth bone. Okay, so these are all the bones here in the scene manager. So it'll select the mouth bone. You can select the head bone, the neck. You can select the right forearm, and everything from here. Or you can simply just click them on the stage there. Okay. So if I selected the mouth, it's a blue selection box. Okay, this is bone selection. All right, and if I go over here to my sprite editor, then it'll switch to a green box, and then I can modify each individual sprite separately. Okay, and there's replace current sprite, there's delete sprites, there's preview, there's set as default image. If you want if you want him to constantly have this show teeth expression on his face, you can set this as the default image. Okay, that may be funny for certain scenarios, but hopefully that answers your question there, Robert, I believe it was. Yeah. Okay. Question from Pratibha. Can the templates work for any size characters? Example, a toddler's arms and legs as well as heads will be much smaller. Yeah, it works for any size of characters. Obviously, for different types of characters, you'll have to kind of use different animations. You know, for example, if there's an animation that's made for our template characters, which you saw had fairly long legs, and your character has like detective tiny legs or something with little tiny baby legs, or detective baby legs with little baby legs, then that might be a little bit of a challenge. But you know, you're not going to have much like bending of the knees, for example, on legs that are stumps. But yeah, it doesn't really matter the size of your character. As long as you put the bone markers in the right place, everything will be fine. Yeah, so as long as you position the bones correctly in the template, it's fine. Okay, question from Bill. A lot of our clients are switching from Adobe software to Affinity Designer and Affinity Pro, Affinity Photo. Everything covered here, work with other software that handle. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not familiar with Affinity myself. I've actually never used it. But if it exports PSD files, you should have no problem. So hopefully that answers your question there, Bill. Anthony asks, motions can be exported to create an animation. Can this be reversed? No. So I get what you're asking here. So what Anthony's asking is you can export a motion via the collect clip. So if you created some sort of animation or something like that, you can export it using collect clip. But he's asking if you can reverse it. So if you can take one of those clips and I guess kind of reverse engineer it into transform keys. Unfortunately not. But this can be useful. You know, I kind of wish we could do that, to be honest, because you always want to go back. But I've found that when I do the collect clip myself and I save it as a clip, then it gets rid of a lot of data, a lot of keyframes that you may not be familiar with, or something that kind of like mess things up and it'll create some jerkiness. Whereas if you want to just save that entire clip as one clip, then you can go up and layer on top of that clip additional keyframes to further refine the motion. Hopefully that makes sense. What I'm talking about is when you collect a clip, sometimes the animation data and all those keyframes is like way too complicated, and you have too much stuff there, and you want to start from you wish it was just a single clip that you could start over from scratch. So that's what sometimes when I do when I encounter that problem where it's coming across as, oh, there's too much jerkiness or there's too many keyframes, I'll just collect the clip. I'll save my original project for sure, but then I'll collect the clip and I'll layer on top of that additional keyframes, so it'll just kind of blend in easier. Okay, so because basically it flattens all those keyframes, and then you can add additional keyframes on top of that flattening. Hopefully that's clear as mud. We're going to have an iClone tutorial or iClone webinar actually end of this month, where I'm actually going to go through that exact procedure. If you have any more questions about that. Another question from Anthony: the ability to create a custom accessory is very interesting. How can an image be added to an actor custom accessory? Currently not working. There's a couple ways to do that. If you want to add an accessory, as long as the accessory doesn't have to conform to the character's body, like a shirt or something like that, then it's super easy. Check out, Anthony, check out those recent tutorials that I created. I think I showed earlier. Did I show it? Yeah, these ones, the Photoshop pipeline tutorial. I did, no, not play all. Gosh. Well, I guess it plays anyways. Okay. There's one called Accessory Assembly and Animation. Check out this one. Okay, that's a really good one. That's probably the one that you're going to look at. And there's also one called Animated Accessory Design right here. Take a look at those two. Those will answer all the questions you have. But just to kind of go through it really quick, if you want to add an accessory onto your character, really simple. In Composer mode, we are in Composer mode right now. Just go to Content Manager, Prop, and let's give him a glass of wine. I don't know. Or Google Glasses. I don't know. Yeah, just throw a glass of wine on there. So we'll attach the glass of wine to the hand there. All right, and you can just twirl it around. Now, the getting this glass of wine into the character's hand is a bit trickier, and that's you can do the simple process by using the layer manager here. If you just want it to be behind the hand, then go ahead and just click and drag it behind the right hand. Okay, but ideally you'd want the stem of the wine glass the thumb to be going around it. And in that case, what you need to do is there's a specific thing you need to do. You need to kind of basically create a separate sprite in Photoshop. So you take this wine glass, export it to Photoshop, and then basically Photoshop the glass, the hand holding the glass, and then you just import it back in that way. And that's the same procedure that I showed you earlier with the eyes, the mouths. You do the same thing with the hands, okay? But hands are kind of boring. Anyways, okay, so hopefully that answers that question there for you. Let me just go back into my questions panel here. Just check out those tutorials. They're really great for that. Answer all your questions. Okay, question from Rhonda. I wanted additional mouth sprites to a character I created. Yeah, do I make up the sprite names? Yeah, Rhonda, to answer your question, you can just make up the sprite names. If you make up the names, the only difference is CrazyTalk Animator is not going to use them by default, like in stuff like the facial puppet tool. So it's not going to automatically switch to you said growling here, like a growling mouth. It's not going to automatically switch to that because that's not in the template that I showed you, those templates that you saw with the Q, W, E, R, T, Y keys. So just add in as many sprites as you want. I did have one. I think this character has a different sprite for his arm or his hand, I think. Did I have I should have saved this character's hand sprite with a boxing glove, I believe. Yeah, here we go. So boxing glove. So again, boxing glove, it's not going to switch automatically, but you can just add this boxing glove in there. Okay, and that boxing glove corresponds to, in Photoshop, RL image, right hand, down here, boxing glove. Okay, this one right here. Let's just, there we go. Okay, so that's just boxing glove. Yeah, I meant to show you guys that. I kind of forgot there, but that's how you can add in additional sprites. You can add in as many as you want. Again, same theory for the mouth and the nose and everything like that. You can have as many noses as you want. Go wild. All right, so hopefully that answers your question there. Arthur asks, will the G3 template work with G2 actors? G2 actors, they're a lot more complicated. No, it won't. To answer your question simply, it's not going to work with G2 actors, unfortunately. G2 actors are entirely vector-based, and you have to create them using a vector-based software like Flash, or what's the other one? Corel Draw, I think, or Corel something. Anyways, anything that exports the Flash files. Okay, so they're vector-based files. Adobe Illustrator is another one that does it. Okay, and you have to create like all sorts of different angles for the G2 characters, because as you may be aware, they can change angles to create like a 3D character pretty much. Okay, so to answer your question though, simply Arthur, yeah, it's not going to work for the G2 characters, unfortunately. John asks, can I upgrade to the pipeline version? Yeah, certainly. You can go to the upgrade to the pipeline version really easily. Just go up to, just basically buy it, and there'll be if you're logged into your account, make sure you're logged into your account when you buy it, and it'll give you a special upgrade price. I think it's like, I don't know, super big discount anyways when you upgrade. So hopefully that answers your question, John. All right. Okay, yeah, Bill mentions that Affinity Designer, Affinity Photo is a great alternative, a one-time payment. So yeah, unfortunately, a lot of companies are going with the monthly subscriptions, pay-as-you-go kind of thing these days. I remember back in the day when you could just buy something for $100 and you had it forever. But yeah, unfortunately now a lot of pay-as-you-go subscriptions, which isn't that bad. I mean, but just gets, if you have a lot of them, I mean, it just loads up your monthly bills, I guess. Thankfully myself, I only have Photoshop and Premiere and After Effects. Actually, I don't think I have After Effects anymore. It's Photoshop and Premiere. Those are the only software I pay monthly for because I use them all the time. Okay, so Kimberly asks, so this template could be used with a character that has long arms and short legs, like a monkey who drags his arms behind him. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that'd be kind of a funny character. I'm actually thinking about, if you guys haven't already, you should check out Gary Pie. There's a developer, his name is Gary Pie. He has a lot of really cool stuff in the content store. It's P-Y-E, not like a P-I-E pie, but P-Y-E. And in the content store, you can probably find it somewhere really cool. Hold on a sec here. Yeah, let's go to reallusion.com/content store. CrazyTalk Animator. And he should be up here somewhere. Elite League Collections. Yeah, there you go. So the stuff like here, these little mates, these animated T-Rexes and stuff, these are all from one of our developers, Gary Pie. He's a really good artist from down in Australia there. Take a look at all his stuff right here. And I have another webinar where I use a lot of these little mate characters extensively. So yeah, check it out. And he has a lot of other assets as well. All right, anyways, a little plug for Gary there. Next one, Nelson asks, I don't know Photoshop, will this work with GIMP? Yep, it works with GIMP as well, as long as you have a PSD export. Okay, so another couple of questions about G2 characters. Unfortunately, cannot use these templates with G2 characters. Nelson asks, will building the bone structure procedure also work with GIMP? You don't have to build the bone structure. It comes as a separate layer, so I'm not sure what you mean by building the bone structure. You don't have to really build anything, just kind of basically transport your images from one folder to another, like I just showed. A little bit monotonous, but necessary. Bill asks, is there a template for G2 characters? Yeah, there's a G2 character template as well. I think you should be able to find that in the Developer Center. Resources. I'm about to sneeze here. Oh, okay, I'm good. All right, resources, CrazyTalk Animator. I think you can find them, yeah, under here. There's white papers. There's a character creation. I think for the G2 template, you have to purchase a separate template, actually. I'm not sure if the G2 one is free. I haven't used that for quite a while, but check the white paper. The white paper should tell you. Okay, so sorry I can't give you more of a answer on that, Bill. I haven't actually used it myself in quite a while. Okay, so Bill mentions a good point here. Affinity Designer is great for vector art. Really good point there. I've never used it myself, but if it's great for vector art, then it's great in my books. Okay, so Rhonda asks, how do I know what resolution to use for YouTube movies, the PSD size? The PSD size is not really related to the YouTube export. It depends on a lot of factors. I'll show you what I mean here. Since these G3 characters are image based, they're not vector based. if I zoom in really closely on this guy's face, you'll see some distortion, right? In the eyes, you'll see the edge is distorted. That's because it's image-based, it's not vector-based. Okay, so these characters are like that. I believe the regular characters, the regular G3 characters, actually have vector-based faces. The heads are vector-based anyways. Let's give her a test here. Yeah, so see when you zoom in on this character's face, no matter how close you zoom in, the image isn't distorting because the head is vector-based. However, with G3 characters, if I zoom in on like the arm, for example, you're going to see a distortion on the arm there. Okay, so G3 characters have vector-based heads and image-based arms. The resolution doesn't matter because you can always just zoom it out. You can just keep on zooming it out and zooming it out until the resolution looks good, basically. All right, so hopefully that answers your question there, Rhonda. Again, I like to have at least 2K or 3K to 4K size for my PSD files. Just go by the default size. I'm not even sure. So this one is 3K, so pretty much between 2 and 3K. All right, so use that, or you can make it larger if you want. Totally up to you. Make sure that be aware that if it's large, then it's going to take up more resources, which isn't really a concern with CrazyTalk Animator though. Okay, where did my questions panel go? Oh, I think I lost my questions panel here. Oh, there it is. Okay. Alrighty. So Rick Owens asks, how much will the template change if you design a side-facing character? Side-facing character, there's no real side-facing character template. There's like a 45-degree. We call it a side-facing, but it's like 45-degree. And there's a separate template for that as well. So in the template folder here, so the one we use is a human full front. There's also human side full template, okay? So this one right here. So you can see this one right here. Exactly the same process, just make sure your character is facing like 45 degrees or something. I'm not sure why my GoToWebinar window is acting all wacky here. Okay. Can you change the tempo of the audio? Stan asks. I don't think so. You can. I've actually never tried. I've always just done that in the audio recording software. I think you can change the speed and the pitch right here for the text to speech. But when it comes to, I've actually never tried that.
Hi everyone.
Because it creates a clip, right? Voice clip. I'm not sure if you can maybe change the speed of this. Okay, yeah, so you can actually change the speed of the clip. I've never done that. Again, it changes the tempo, not the pitch, so keep that in mind. So if you want it to be slower, you can just go like,
hi everyone.
Okay, yeah, cool, I never knew that. So you can actually just take the clip, the voice clip, and you can stretch it out. Make sure you have the speed thing toggled. And the voice clip track there, and it'll kind of, you can mess around with it that way. I've actually never done that, so interesting. We learn something every day. Okay. If you have any further questions, you can always email me again at kai@reallusion.com. That's KAI at reallusion.com for anything I didn't cover here. So one last question here. We're going to go with from Kimberly here. For G3 characters, you can adjust the resolution when doing close-ups. Oh, okay. Yeah, good to know. Max real-time map size. This I did not know. I haven't gone through all the help files enough. So Kimberly mentions you can change the resolution, preferences, increase the real-time map size. Let's test that out. So we go to Edit, Preferences, and real-time map size. So let's test it out real quick here. So let's change this from, so it's already pretty maxed out. If we change this to like 1024, let's see what this does. Hopefully it didn't crash my computer. Okay, there we go. So maybe you can kind of clarify on that. I'm not even sure what that does, to be honest. I should probably know that. But real-time maximum real-time map size. Yeah, I think this is when you import your character. You need to make sure that this real-time map size is at the highest level, and all these things are at very high levels here. I'm not sure what this thing is, but maybe we can check the help file. But anyways, real-time map size. Leave it to the last question, would you? This one right here is, if I can get some clarification here. Yeah, so you can go to help and user manual, and maybe you can find something real-time map size. Yeah, I don't know. Preferences. Which one did I look at? Should be somewhere in here. System section. Render. Okay, I think this is what we're talking about here. Nope. Maybe it's not even in here. System section, it shows here. But, oh. Okay, 4K resolution. Gosh, guys, sorry about this. Should be able to find it on your own time, though. But yeah, it should have some information in here. Yeah, I'm not sure why nothing's showing up. Okay, there's anti-alias. So here's a way to kind of smooth things out, it looks like, for jagged edges. I've just never come across that situation myself where I've had that problem. So yeah. Oh, I guess so. Rick's mentioning here has to do with the actual render itself. So yeah, I guess when it comes to the render, you can adjust that. I've never actually tested it out myself. So sorry about that, guys. I can't really tell you much about it, but I tried to look in the help, but the help is helpless in this case. All right, so again, sorry about that, guys. What we'll do is we'll end off the webinar here then on this confusing note. Again, if you have any questions, you can email me, kai@reallusion.com. And I'll also be sending out a link of this webinar for you guys, and make sure you fill out the survey, and you get a $10 gift certificate for the content store. If you do so, you can buy all kinds of cool stuff for accessories and props and what have you. But yeah, so that's about it. We'll end it off right there. So thanks so much for attending, everyone. Really enjoyed having you along with the ride here. So yeah, I'll say adieu and good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are in the world, and I'll see you in the next webinar.